Hi, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I want to share with you a wonderful experience, or a God story, some would call it, about hurricanes. Today, on September 29th, Hurricane Ian blew through the west coast of Florida, all the way through Orlando and out the other side. Sadly, there was much life loss in this process. We haven't even got all the numbers, but it really made me stop and think about Hurricane Andrew because I was a young girl, just moved here to Florida with my husband from Michigan, and I was introduced to a Category 5 hurricane, never knowing what a hurricane could do. And the story behind it, I thought maybe some of you would find interesting. It starts with my husband being from South America and moving to Michigan to get married and having a real hard time. Porque él habla español. And in Michigan don't really habla español. We do now, but not back then, 25 years ago when I got married. We came down to South Florida on vacation and he was offered a job and we moved. And we took that as a sign that we should move, that the great creator was telling us it was time to make this move. So we did this. And when we got here, they gave his job away to someone else, leaving us with little money at that young, impressionable time where I think I was 20 and he was 24 at the time. And we had a 2-year-old son. So we were very concerned and I was frustrated. I got on my bed. I started kicking my bed and I said, I was always told there was a God. And if there's a God, then why is he not answering me? I'm asking for simple things. I'm not asking for a mansion. Maybe you aren't either. Maybe you just want simple stuff, a house, a roof over your head for your children. And that's what I wanted. And I was trying to do that by renting this place in Miami. When my husband has a dream that night that I was all frustrated with God, I was like, I don't want to talk to God right now because he's not listening. Okay, that's not the best example, but it's the real thing. That's how I felt at the time. So he came to me and he told me this dream. He says, I dreamt I saw your grandmother. Now, my grandmother just died the year before we left Michigan, which was something we as a family didn't do. But I had to go. My husband had to have a place to work. And in the dream, she came to him and said, you need to tell my granddaughter you're not going to live here because a great tormenta, and she said it in Italian because she didn't speak English. She said a great tormenta, meaning a great storm was coming and we would have to move to Fort Lauderdale, is what she said in the dream. So he tells me this, and minutes later, there's a knock on the door, and there's a minister from our church from up north Fort Lauderdale with the newspaper in hand and said, I just felt to stop by because I'm in the area doing some work. Maybe God wants you to get a job in Fort Lauderdale. He tells my husband, he says, why don't you just look? My husband just had that dream. Well, the same day, he gets the job interview and he gets the job. And during those 2 weeks, as we're packing to go to Fort Lauderdale, I have a dream. I dreamt that we were in the building we were now in. As I'm packing to go to Fort Lauderdale, questioning still, why am I going from Miami to Fort Lauderdale now? What's next? Did you ever ask yourself that? Like, what the heck is going on in my life? Almost you feel like you're not in control, yet something is in control. And that was how I felt. By the way, I'm wearing my stylish South Florida sunglasses for the occasion. You'll see why in a minute. But anyway, I had the dream and I dreamt that I saw a great storm come through our house. And I was holding on to my son for his life. The wind was so strong, it was suctioning him out of my arms. It was terrifying. And I could hear the glass breaking around me and see all the shields over the windows were actually being shredded away. So storm shutters were being pulled off. So I woke up and I said, what's this dream about? What's going on? Anyway, long story short, we moved to Fort Lauderdale. 6 months later, we're in a house with two other families that are friends of ours as we're celebrating our first hurricane party. It's coming down pretty much Main Street, Fort Lauderdale. It's called Hurricane Andrew. It was due to hit Fort Lauderdale, but it didn't. But we didn't know that because the power's out in the middle of the night. The wind's blowing around. We're all in the house together, trying to stay protected and stay together. But in the morning, when the lights came on and the TV came on, I saw something unimaginable. And we took our car and our van and our friends and we tried to drive to Homestead, but you barely could find it on the map. It was blown apart. I was so young, and even to this day, it impresses me and my husband. We have video footage that nobody else has of those first hours. You weren't even supposed to be on the road. And we also had licenses for Homestead at the time. That's what got us into the area. And I realized for the first time as I stood in my apartment or my then condo, it was empty. I saw right through to the sky and I looked out the window, the one I was dreaming where I was holding my son, where the glass shattered and the shields were pulled away. The hurricane shutters were actually suctioned right off the building. And I was looking out at my neighbor's house completely collapsed, and they were all killed. In fact, that area of Homestead could not even be repaired. And suddenly I understood why, when I was kicking the bed and telling God I wanted home, all I wanted was a little home. I wasn't asking for a lot, that He was actually saving our lives. We would not have made it through there. Our neighbors didn't. So sometimes things happen that we don't understand, but there is a great creator, a greater power than us, looking after us. And that's what I wanted to share with you, my grandchildren, and the rest of the world that wants to hear. Hey, I look at it like this. You are entitled to your opinion. The rest of the world's all over social media with their opinion. I've got mine. And mine is I serve a true and living God who protected me when I didn't even know I needed protection. A year later, we got the new house, a brand new house, less than $100,000, brand new built, better than anything I ever could imagine. God was trying to give me something better than what I wanted. So I hope my grandchildren, you'll take the take-home lessons. Hey, also for everybody else, make sure you always have gas 2 days ahead of time. plenty of food because the shelves will get empty. Keep your friends and your family and your phone numbers and your laptops. Make sure they're all charged because they go out after the hurricane. And make sure you don't go out in the water right after a hurricane because power lines go down. And we have lost friends and neighbors to electric power lines and water. So I hope all these spiritual and natural tips will help you. And we really say, God bless and help the people there in Southwest Florida who just encountered Category 4 winds. You know, you're on our mind. We're thinking about you. We felt it. We felt every bit of what you're feeling. So we're praying for a great outcome. God made a great outcome out of a great disaster. So from your great mess to greatness. All right, guys. Praying for you. Hope that you have a good night and that this will be a channel you'll want to come to.